because we are getting the phone calls. No one's calling us and going, oh my gosh, Michelle, I have this super tenant. And they're paying every month and they're maintaining the property and no one calls and tells me that.
They just paid a year in advance. So I can call and say thanks.
Yeah. I get these phone calls. I get the phone calls of their dog bit the neighbor and now the neighbor's suing me. And what do I do? Or, I actually have 2 of those going on right now. And luckily in Kentucky, the landlord is not responsible anymore unless the landlord has actual knowledge that it was a vicious dog that should not have been allowed on the property. So that's the only exception to that. But it's still a hassle for my clients to have to go through because they're being sued. They have to reach out to their insurance company, and the little tenant union is starting back up again. Right now, we've been told they're mainly going after apartment complexes that are what are considered HUD complexes, which means they're either subsidized or rent assistance, that sort of thing, where it's the entire complex is set up that way. And some of our clients that we're working with are getting along fine with because they're sitting down and having a conversation, which you're required to do. If you're a HUD property, you are required to sit down and have a conversation with them. And you don't have to agree to anything they're asking. But if they're asking for reasonable things, why wouldn't you agree to it?
Yeah.
And so we have some that are having a good relationship with them. And then we have some clients that are having a combative relationship with them. And so but these are things you need to be made aware of. And so when new investors come sit down with us, we go over all this with them. And we explain to them that doing a good check up front before you move a tenant in, it might take you another month or 2 months to get a quality tenant in there, but do the back check, do the credit report, check to see if an eviction has been filed against them previously. All of these things are doable that you can check.
Hold on.
Right.
It's like your due diligence.
Exactly.
It's like your due diligence up front, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. One thing you don't want to worry about is living paycheck to paycheck. I know you don't want to do that. So that's why you want to tune the Investor Child podcast every Wednesday, or as we're being released, we're going to do it 2 times here pretty soon.
Maybe you may get to see us twice as often. You get twice the podcast. You get twice of Milton. Think about that. Twice.
Okay. That's 160% butter cookie. This milk without saying it was 80% butter cookie. We can edit that part out.
Yeah, right.
It's like all I think is you disappearing out front. We shall tell us. I do want to go back to something Michelle said, and before she said she was a cynic and everything. She talked about landlords getting too emotionally attached with the property.
Yes.
One thing I didn't hear you say is they may be too emotionally attached with the tenants in the property. Do you see that?
I can't be friends with my tenants because, I'm like, I know them. I like them. They're cool. We might be coworkers. But you're saying that that's not really.
Well, my best tenant is actually my office manager. So I should be the best person to ask about this, but she has turned out to be my best tenant. But I have a couple landlords that I work with that do get emotionally attached to the tenants. They listen to their sob stories, which is good and bad because they're being empathetic, which is nice and caring and compassionate. But looking at it from a business perspective, I see when they're being taken advantage of. And by the time they realize they're being taken advantage of, usually the tenant is several months behind or has done extensive damage to the property. And now we're going through the eviction process. And what's funny is even the judges in Jefferson County will point out occasionally when they'll look at the eviction complaint and it'll say the tenant owes $6,000 or $7,000 in rent.
Yeah.
And they'll ask the landlord, why did you let them get that far behind? Because you think you're doing something nice. And that's what they thought. Hey, I'm working with them. I'm trying to let them pay a little bit here, a little bit there. They've had a hard time. Car broke down, whatever, lost their job. But as the judges point out, once they get so far behind, they know they can never get caught up. And so they're like, that's even harder on the tenant. And so we advise our clients, I understand you want to work with them, you want to try to be sympathetic and understanding, but you also have to look at it